All right, let's talk about a secret battle that's happening in homes all across Gallatin, Tennessee. And no, it's not what you think. It's not about termites or tornadoes. It's about these invisible, powerful forces in the environment that are in a constant war with your home's plumbing. So let's get right into it.
So what makes a house in Gallatin so different from one, say, an hour down the road? Why do the pipes there face this unique, relentless struggle? Well, the answer is a combination of things you can't even see, and it's probably not what you'd guess. This is the big mystery we're going to solve.
You ever hear that weird gurgle from your toilet for no reason? Or notice a patch in your yard that's just a little too green, even when it hasn't rained? Well, these things aren't just random little quirks of an old house. You gotta think of them like clues, symptoms that point to a much bigger story that's happening right under your feet. See, these common problems aren't just your pipes getting old and giving up. They're actually the battle scars from this constant fight. A fight between your home's structure and the very specific environment in Gallatin. Your plumbing? Well, it's right there on the front lines. Okay, so where do we even begin to look for the cause? Well, for this one, we have to look down. The first major culprit here is the very ground that your house is built on. So, here's the deal. Gallatin, and really most of Sumner County, sits on this massive foundation of limestone bedrock. Now, that fancy term on the screen, karst topography, all that really means is that the ground isn't one big, solid, stable thing. It's full of little channels and pores, and it allows for a ton of subtle but constant movement. And here's what that actually does. Because that limestone foundation is always kind of shifting around, it means the soil surrounding your pipes is never still. Just try to imagine this slow-motion, relentless force that is constantly pushing, pulling, and twisting the rigid water and sewer lines that are buried in your yard. And, as if that wasn't enough to deal with, there's another major player in the ground, that famous Tennessee clay soil. And this stuff, it's not just regular dirt. When it gets wet, it swells up like a sponge. And then during a dry spell, it shrinks and cracks. It's incredibly active. So picture this 1-2 punch. You've got the limestone bedrock underneath, which is always shifting things around, and then you've got this layer of clay soil that's in a constant cycle of expanding and contracting around your pipes. It is literally squeezing them, day in and day out, just looking for any tiny weak spot to create a crack or pull a joint apart. But you know, the attack isn't just coming from the outside. Let's move on to our second culprit, because this one is flowing through your pipes every single day. We're talking about the water itself. Gallatin's water comes from the Cumberland River watershed. Now, the water is totally safe to drink, but on its journey to your tap, it flows through all of that limestone bedrock we just talked about. And as it does, it picks up a whole bunch of minerals. And that brings us to a term you've probably heard before, hard water. All it means is that the water is carrying a heavy load of dissolved minerals, mostly calcium and magnesium. This creates a whole new set of problems, but this time, the attack is coming from the inside out. You see, the effects of hard water are slow, but they are incredibly destructive. Those minerals don't just flow through, they stick to the inside of your pipes. It's kind of like cholesterol in an artery. This gunk, this sediment, it builds up over time, clogging your shower heads, corroding your fixtures, and forcing your appliances to work way, way harder until they just give out. And if you're wondering how serious this is, just look at this number. In a lot of places, a water heater might last 15, maybe even 20 years. But in Gallatin, because that hard water creates literal layers of rock-like sediment inside the tank, you're lucky if you get 8 to 12 years out of one. That is a real, tangible, expensive problem. So right about now, you might be thinking, okay, but I have a new house, so I'm safe, right? Well, not exactly. The truth is, both old homes and new homes in Gallatin are in this fight. They're just battling different enemies. So on one side, you've got these beautiful, historic homes you see downtown. Their biggest vulnerability is internal. They have old, galvanized steel pipes that hard water just loves to eat away at from the inside. But then you look at the newer subdivisions, out in places like Station Camp. They've got modern PEX pipes that are great against corrosion, but their main enemy is external. That relentless shifting and squeezing from the clay soil, which puts all the stress on their underground lines. See? Nobody gets a free pass.
Okay, so that's a lot, I know. Shifting ground, hard water, it sounds kind of bleak. But here's the thing. This is where you, the homeowner, get to turn all this information into real power. It all comes down to learning how to listen to your home. In this quote right here, it really says everything, doesn't it? The whole goal is to avoid being this person, the one who finds out there's a problem when there's already 2 inches of water in the basement. So being proactive means understanding how a pipe actually fails in this environment.
So what you have to realize is that these forces all work together. It's like a perfect storm. It often starts with a winter freeze. The thaw and refreeze cycle creates one tiny, invisible crack in a pipe. That's step one. Then, step two, the squeeze. That expanding clay soil finds that new little weak point and just puts constant pressure on it. And finally, step three is the break. That stressed crack just can't take it anymore, and it gives way, leading to a leak or a total burst.
So now that you understand the why, you can start to recognize the what. These, right here, these are your key warning signs. If your drains are always slow, that could be mineral buildup. Those weird gurgling sounds, that can signal pressure issues from shifting pipes. And a sudden, unexplained jump in your water bill, that is a huge red flag for a leak you can't see. This is your home's early warning system.
So when you really think about it, your home's plumbing isn't just a network of pipes. It's an active character in this big environmental story, a story about the unique geology of Gallatin, Tennessee. And it's telling you that story every single day. The only question left is, are you listening?